Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Barbuto, and today we're gonna break down step by step my sales process, starting from when you wanna find a new opportunity and you're trying to build an opportunity from scratch. This is gonna be very focused on the software sales cycle. I've been selling AdTech software for the past decade, and it was a long onboarding process for me. It was a big adjustment from selling services. But when I made that first sale, every deal got easier once I got down exactly how you do it. Now, regardless of what you're selling, the first step that you want to take is always going to be research. Now, when I talk about research, what do I really mean? Finding qualified prospects that you can then target with your outreach. Now, for me, it's super important to separate research from outreach. Why? Because when you are spreading yourself to multiple tasks, your attention is going to be spread too thin, your focus isn't going to be 100%, and ultimately you're not going to be as good at either one of those tasks. So what are we looking at? We are looking for what is called an ideal client profile. Now, an ideal client profile is a description, a detailed description of exactly who your best customers should be. Right? So not just surface level revenue type of company, but really understanding the tech stack that they have, the partners that they have, their location, the type of roles that they hire, the job descriptions at their companies, the size of the company. You want to get a very detailed description of what exactly do your best customers look like. And the best place to start for that is by looking at your current best customers. Try to get a detailed description. Now, what are we looking for exactly and how we describe somebody as qualified? There's two main categories here. One is they must have a need for your solution. So you must be able to help them out, and they must not have a duplicative tech stack, because if they did, they're obviously not going to work with you. Why would they? The second one is they must have the means to buy from you. So they must have an available budget that they can dedicate to your solution in the short term. If they're tied into long-term contracts, then frankly, they're not qualified because they're not gonna have any budget for you. It's not about how much budget they have, it's about how much money they have for you. So now that we know who we wanna look for, we then wanna take it a step further and understand what is called your ideal persona profile. So this is the job description of the key decision makers within your ideal client profiles. So know exactly what the titles are that you most frequently work with. Now, this could be a variety of different decision makers. There's usually anywhere between 6 and 10 decision makers in an average B2B deal. Enterprise companies can have upwards of 25. So it's really important that you know who all the stakeholders are. What do they care about? What are their job titles? Who are the key decision makers? Who owns budget? Which ones own finances? What are they responsible for? The reason why you want to have a good understanding of that is because you want to target all of the key decision makers at your target companies, and it's really important that the messaging is tailored to what they care about. Okay, so now that we have an understanding of who we want to target, now let's talk about where we can find them. So I look at my research like a upside down funnel, where I want to start at the bottom. These are people that I have some sort of warm connection with, right? So this is maybe because they used to work with us. I had a call with them back in the day. Maybe I have a mutual connection with them. Maybe we went to the same college. Anything that I have a commonality with. That is what I would consider to be a warm prospect. That's where you want to start. So people that match the job description of your ideal persona profile, and they work at your ideal customer profile, and you have some sort of warm lead, those are going to be where you want to start. And for me, I always go into my CRM and look for any past conversations I had, any past clients that we had, and I want to tier those. I want to focus on how recent they worked with us, as well as how much money they spent with us. Now, you want to make a list of all of the prospects that you're going to want to reach out to when you do your outreach, which is in step 2. Right now, we're just conducting a list, and what you want to do is jot down 1 or 2 things that you can use in your outreach. So make a list of the contacts you're going to be reaching out to, put down their contact information, and then also how you're going to be reaching them. Anything that you need to know. So next place you want to look is your LinkedIn and search your connections. Go into Sales Navigator if you have access to it and put in the filters for the actual company profile that you are looking for. So you can actually create a customer profile and also the job title. So you can select the two of them and now go into your first party connections, see if there's anybody who matches that description. You may be surprised. I often will find people that had moved companies that I've connected with, and those are usually the lowest hanging fruit. That's where you want to start. So next, we want to move up the funnel, right? So we no longer have a warm connection to these people. Now we want to create lists of people that just match the description of our ideal customer profiles. You can use tools like Winmo. You can use tools like Sales Navigator to find new companies that match those descriptions. And so what you want to look for is put in as much information as you can, whether it be by vertical, by company type, by company size, by whether they're independent or they're owned by a holding company, what their services are. Describe it as specifically as possible based on what your best customers look like. Create a list of companies, then go into Sales Navigator and type those companies in, and then select the titles that you are targeting, and then you can create messaging that's gonna resonate with them. So once you've created your list, separate days. Maybe you do this on Monday, Tuesday you might wanna reach out to this list. This is where you wanna sequence your outreach. So what do I mean by that? I just mean multiple channels. So it takes an average of 7 touch points before you can expect a response from a decision maker at a cold prospect. So here's how I set mine up. Number 1, I will start with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I will craft messaging which is tailored for the specific category of the ideal client profile and ideal persona profile that I am targeting at that time. I will then send something that's tailored to that audience profile. From there, if they don't respond to that, I'll wait a day or two, maybe follow up one more time on LinkedIn. If they don't respond to that, then I will then send them an email. Follow up one more time with an email. If they haven't responded to 2 LinkedIn messages and 2 emails, this is where you want to place a phone call. Find out their information from a Zoom info or from a Winmo, give them a call. Most of the time they're not going to pick up, and leave a message. If they do pick up, simply explain the reason why you're calling. You're calling because you are helping similar companies and you want to know if you can help them as well. You're hoping to set up time to see if you can have a discussion about the ways you're helping similar companies and whether it might make sense for them as well. It's much more simple than people like to make it out, cold calling. But always leave a message and then follow up with an email if they don't respond. Make the subject line, left a message. Say, hey, just left a message, was hoping that we can connect on X. Make sure that you are following up every other day. Use a different value proposition, keep it concise, no more than 125 words. Include a call to action which gives times to choose from in their time zone. Mix up your time of day, early in the morning, evenings are usually good for LinkedIn. Use a curiosity sparking subject line. So you don't want to be super salesy, but you can start off with like correct contact or quick question, referred by X. The best leads that you're gonna get and the most likely you're gonna get a response is by getting a referral. Reference the warm connection that you have with this prospect. Make sure you put that in the subject line, start out your email with it. Again, continue to follow up across multiple channels, mix it up with LinkedIn, email, and the phone, leave voicemails, be creative. This is your opportunity to be a detective. Find those qualified leads, try out different ways to reach them, whether that means send them a video message, whether it means LinkedIn Sales Navigator or LinkedIn voicemail. Be different, use all of your different tools at your disposal and make sure that you're getting enough touch points across enough channels before you consider a sequence complete. Don't spend too much time crafting an email. Most of the time it's more about who you reach and when than exactly putting in the perfect email. If they're really interested, they could just look at your website and they could find out very quickly what you do. All right, once you set up a call, now it's time to prepare for your meetings. It's a critically important step that should not be overlooked. You want to use the same tools that you use to do your research, except you want to go even deeper. So for example, check out not only the contact's LinkedIn profile, but also the company LinkedIn profile. Read the blurb on their about section, look at their recent posts, see what their experience looked like. This should give you an idea of what they care about as well as their sophistication and tech savviness. Then once you go over to their company profile, you could see how many people work at the company, you could see what their locations are, you could see a little blurb about who they are, how they describe themselves, what are their recent posts, as well as what are their core services. Take a look at all of the people that work at the company. Look at the job titles. This will give you an idea of the decision makers and give you an understanding as to whether you are gonna need to have multiple calls, multiple demos, or if it could be a one and done situation based on their job title. Next, go to their website. Take a look at their core services, take a look at their partner section, look at their case studies, look at how they describe themselves, and as you're going about doing this, write everything down. Write any questions that come up that will be good to know. So gather as much information as you possibly can to get an understanding of the value that you might be delivering, as well as where their needs might be. Then Google their names. See what kind of articles have been written about them. If it's a public company, look at their earnings reports. See what kind of information that the CEO is putting out there. This will give you an idea of what their core priorities are. From there, take a look, go to your CRM. See if there's any history between you and this company. Now, you should already have a decent understanding of that from your research when you were doing your outreach, but it's always a good idea to go back, look through it, see any communication, any conversation that were being had. The idea here is that you're trying to get as much information as you possibly can on who you're gonna be talking to, what they're gonna care about, what value that you're gonna be able to deliver, what questions that you might have that you weren't able to get from your research. You're writing all this down so that way when you get in the meeting, you're already prepared. But what's important to note is that you get in the meeting, you need to be flexible. You go in the game plan, yes, but be ready to pivot based on what you learn in the meeting. You wanna get an understanding of the decision makers, you wanna have a goal for next steps. If it's early, if it's the first time you're ever speaking to them and you would feel more comfortable presenting a deck, create a deck, but make sure it's tailored. Include research, relevant case studies, relevant offerings that you think would be valuable for them. I typically will like to, maybe I'll go through one slide, but I usually will try to keep a conversation for the first meeting. The goal is to build credibility, and the information that you find in the meeting preparation is also meant to reference in the meeting, transitioning you from a vendor to a potential partner. So any mutual connections that you might have, any history that you found about your two companies, if you had just had a single meeting years ago, that's still worth referencing. By referencing that, it shows you did your homework. People like to see that you cared. So then come to the meeting, you wanna have all of this written down in front of you, your questions, your goal for next steps, you wanna have your deck ready, you wanna have your product ready to show if you're gonna bring it out, and you also wanna have your sequence of questions. So everything from the beginning to the end, a written agenda, the value that you will be referencing that might be helpful. All right, so now let's talk about the meeting. Two parts of the meeting, the diagnosis, which is your questions, and then the prescription, which is your solution based on what you find out. You wanna ask situational questions to understand what their situation is, what does their setup look like, what does their tech stack look like, anything you weren't able to find out from your research that would qualify them. Do they look like your best customers? Those are the type of questions that you wanna ask up front. Then you wanna dive into their needs, their goals, what are their challenges? That's gonna help you determine whether you can help them and how you can help them. How you wanna start a meeting is this. First, you wanna build some rapport, connect with them on a human level, get to know them, say, how's your week? Then you wanna build some credibility. Share with them what you found out about them from your research. Then you wanna ask for permission to ask some questions. Share an agenda, say, hey, since our first time speaking, I did my research, I have some ideas, but I just wanted to ask a few quick questions up front to make sure that we're talking about what is most relevant to you. Then I will share with you the ways that we're helping similar companies, what makes us different, and the different partnership models. And then from there, if everything makes sense and it's worth continuing to learn about this, then why don't we set up a demo as a next step so that we can dive deeper and you can see what we're gonna be speaking about for the next 20 or so minutes. Does that work for you? Make sure that you get them to confirm both the agenda items as well as that they're on board for a demo if it's worth exploring. This is an easy commitment for them to make, and it'll be easy for you to reference later on once you've demonstrated personalized value. Now, you wanna get them to open up. So you want it to be a 70-30 split where you're speaking 30% of the time, they're speaking 70% of the time. The way you do that is by asking good open-ended questions that are layered. So each question, it shouldn't feel like an interview, it should feel more like a conversation. So give some credibility, share some insights, ask a relevant question. Then, once you've gathered enough information that you've determined the ways that you can help them, present your solution, and you do that by using their words. So for example, if they said, hey, it's really important for us to grow next year at 20%. You say, I know you mentioned that it's important for you to grow next year at 20%. Here's how we've helped similar companies grow. And then you share out your solutions. This way you're completely tailoring your solution directly to their needs. You also want to support it with a story, case study, social proof. So share stories, say, hey, you remind me of a customer of mine that was in your exact situation. They were concerned about onboarding because they didn't have the resources either, but once they used this partnership model you're considering, they were able to seamlessly onboard it, and they were within 6 months able to be completely self-sufficient and a crawl, walk, run, no business disruption. Now they're spending $500,000, 20% of that is going directly to their bottom line. They didn't have to add any new people. That sort of story that adds color, that brings your solution to life. Otherwise, it's just words. People are 13 times more likely to remember stories than they are facts. So make sure that you're presenting your solution using their words, tailoring your value to exactly what their needs are, and supporting it with a story. Make sure that by the end of the meeting, you have a full understanding of their tech stack, their needs, their goals, their challenges, the importance of those goals, the impact of not achieving them. They have a good understanding of your solution, that they've acknowledged that it solves an important need. So you want to get their feedback throughout, go back and forth. Then once you've gotten to the end of the meeting and you've determined that, yes, I can help these people, yes, we are able to deliver personalized value that's going to move the needle, then you say, hey, it sounds like this would be helpful, right? Why don't we set up that follow-up demo so you could see what we've been discussing? How does your calendar look next week? Then stop talking. Wait for them to take out their calendar and try to schedule right then and there. If there's anyone else that should be joining, try to get them to invite them to the demo. Now you are moving the deal forward. Once they've decided that they are helping you with setting up that demo, now you could start considering them your champion. This champion is going to help you with selling to all of the other internal stakeholders. And that wraps it up for the first half of the step-by-step sales process that I teach throughout my book, Top Sales Tools: How to Crush Your Sales Quota. Check out my next video where I take you from demo to closing the deal. I hope this was helpful. Check out my other videos where I cover off on things like how to conduct a product demo, as well as how to sell software step-by-step. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the second part of this episode next week. My name is Andrew Barbuto, and always remember, if you're not helping, you're not selling. Thanks.